Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome to race number 8 of 12 here at the legendary Daytona International Speedway, Daytona Beach, Florida, as we get set for a high-flying, high-bank draft fest evening here in virtual Daytona Beach, Florida, and it should be a heck of a lot of fun. Of course, my name is Trevor Greenfield, and I'll be with you all day today, calling all the great action on the track. Should be just endless drafting and draft swapping fun as we get set for another awesome race here in the U.S. IndyCar League, known for its clean racing and also known for its very competitive fields. This is going to be one of the fastest races that we will see. Probably we'll see the entire season. This is going to be the fastest race here at Daytona International Speedway. It's basically get in, sit down, shut up, and hang on. You just strap in and plant that right foot and drive this car around the track. If you ever wanted to go fast in an IndyCar, this is the place to do it. We will see speeds in excess of 230 miles an hour in the draft. You see a little bit more about the infamous speedway, of course, not very far away from where it began, not very long ago, about a half a century ago, or maybe a little bit more now, out on the beaches. And just imagine those old NASCAR stock cars driving around on sand and trying to race. Could you imagine an IndyCar doing the same thing out there? That'd certainly be an interesting thing to witness, that is for sure. So great to have you with us, as I mentioned, and we're getting set for qualifying here. Now, these Indy cars won't have to deal with sand or dirt or anything like that today, just the purpose-built racetrack here. Very wide, very fast, and very long, 2.5 miles around the Daytona International Speedway. And as we're on board now with three-time consecutive champion Jason Lowe from a couple of seasons ago when he won those championships, there really is no track where qualifying means less than this track, as you could go from last to first or first to last in the span of a lap. However, it is definitely a point of pride to see whether or not you can manage to get your name atop the list and show that you know how to go a whole 100th of a second faster than someone else. As you can see, Jason Lowe there working on trying to put in his fast lap, and he'll take 7th fastest with that lap there. Gonna put him right solidly in the middle of the pack. And of course, as we take a look at our champion out there on the track right now, we'll take a look at the points here in a minute. But three-time running consecutive champion Graham Bunyan for the last 3 seasons, taking the U.S. IndyCar League title and now taking pole position, so he looks to add to that total. We'll see if we can get somebody who's on their warm-up lap and just about to put in a fast one. Here's David Strid. And for those of you who were curious, in the toe speeds in practice just a very short time ago, it was in fact Dominic Hart who had the fastest times. And so once again, that perhaps maybe a little bit more meaningful, as these drivers are going to have to use a lot of that drafting prowess to be able to get around and get up there to the front and hold the front of the race. So David Strid, currently 2nd place in the championship, and, you know, kind of looking to hold that 2nd place in the championship. I'm sure he'd love to claw up there and perhaps get, and there he does. He takes provisional pole with a 27:03 here. Excuse me, 37:03. The wrong digits in the wrong spots. There we go. 37:03 for David Strid thus far on his first lap. I don't know if he is going to be faster. It says that he was not faster in Sector 1, so we don't really expect it to be that much faster here. Sector 2. So we watch, he heads down through the tri-oval here and across the start-finish stripe. And in fact, it does say he had a faster Sector 2 time that time, but did not improve, staying with a 37:09. So anybody else out there, we just saw Richard Kelbaugh get in his qualifying lap. Rick Lovison now done with his qualifying lap. Those two will start towards the back, 13th and 14th. We have 17 cars here, part of the field. I don't think Danny Alt will make the field today. And so we'll wait for qualifying to finish up here before we can give you the official results. And so on your screen momentarily, you will have said results, and you do. It's David's. I'm always amazed when things actually work the way that they should in this software. David Strid takes pole position here at Daytona. Fantastic for extra bonus points and the fact that you can control the front of this race. But of course, as I was just saying, it really don't matter. You could go front or back. It won't matter until the last couple of laps where you're really located at. But we'll watch for Strid to perhaps defend that pole position today. He's going to have a difficult one, as his teammate is perhaps the favorite on every single race to be able to perhaps take victory. And that is, of course, Graham Bunyan. So Graham Bunyan going to be starting outside of his countryman and teammate there. So we'll get this grid up here and properly on screen for you. These cars not yet taking to the track, so we're just going to wait for a moment, and we'll get a chance to bring you their cars right up close. But starting on the second row for today is going to be Howard Livingston. That's a great starting position for him in the carecamps.org Coconut Castaways machine. He's going to be starting alongside of Dominic Hart, one of our previous winners in the league. And in addition, Mike West, James Kennedy, going to be starting there on row 3. Row 4 is going to be Mauro Ramirez. And a good qualifying position. He's going to be starting next to Series League admin Jason Lowe, racing for Rescue Ranch. And so Mauro's teammate over at Black Tiger Racing, Fahim Rahman, going to be starting there on row number 5 next to Dan Ench. David Worrell going to be starting on row 6 next to Will Stearns. And rounding out our field is going to be Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik. Rick Lovison is going to be outside of Rick Kelbaugh. Then you've got Mason joining us, Robert Mason from Australia. Great to have a new driver in the field. Had no idea he was showing up. Make sure to get me your info, Robert. We'll make sure get everything right in the software. Great to have you joining us there next to Inigo Mardones, one of the series regulars who returning back here to racing. A couple of weeks he had off during the season, and great to have him back in the field. He's one of these drivers that, you know, honestly, there's quite a few of the drivers that are this way, but they're not known for hanging out up at the front all the time, but they often will make surges right up to the front. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the Season 14 standings. You can see how they stand after 7 races. Well, it's no surprise for those of you who have been watching. It's Graham Bunyan who leads it by quite a bit. He's got a bunch of bonus points because he's been winning and getting pole positions. He didn't get pole here, so he won't get that bonus point, but you can see kind of how this has been shaking out. He's got a pretty substantial lead over David Strid and quite a gap back to Jason Lowe. But then from Dan Ench back to Hart is just 1 place there in the points, so that is a very tight battle. We get set to go here. Some definite great battling for positions in the championship happening from 4th place on back. It's all for play today. Who's going to take victory? Who is going to potentially take all those bonus points and get the rest of their season underway, as Graham Bunyan is 2nd place now. David Strid leading us to the green flag. We are underway here at Daytona, starting to get single file at the moment as we get underway. Take a look here from overhead in the StickQuik blimp. course, today's Daytona 190 presented by StickQuik, and we will be doing 76 laps around the Daytona International Speedway. Already, we've got some movers in the field. You've got James Kennedy, who's up to 5th. He's gained a spot as Mike West has now dropped back to 7th. Mauro Ramirez also gaining a spot here, now up into 6th place. Looking a little bit further back, it's Mr. StickQuik, who's now under attack from Will Stearns on the outside. Stearns, he's gained 3 spots, and Kelba, he's already gained 3 as well. Looking a little bit further back, just behind Dan Ench, you've got Robert Mason, who's up 3 spots, and Inigo Mardones, who's also up 3 spots. So some of these drivers definitely having a good race, but I'll tell you who isn't, and that is Fahim Rahman, who I don't believe made the start, and that's unfortunate for him. So great to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network. So we're under green flag racing, and we're just getting up to speed. These drivers won't have to deal with much temperature out there today to degrade these tires, but you will have to deal with some heat under the collar, as you're going to be spending a lot of time in close proximity to other race cars. How fast are they going? 240 miles per hour here at the Daytona International Speedway. These drivers got to retain their focus throughout this entire race. We can see some racing happening a little bit further back. In fact, that's Mike West on the outside of James Kennedy. Mike West attempting to get it done out there, and he's gone around Dominic Hart, gained a spot. He's on the high side of Howard Livingston. This on board with West. Oh, and West into the wall. Perhaps a little bit of commentator's curse. Unsure, but he's in the wall. He was just making a move on the high side, and now he's damaged that car. Will not steer straight. You see the steering angle in the car. The speed has come down to 190 miles an hour. He's going to be forced to have to limp that car back into the pits and get repair. Perhaps he'll try to somehow get that car back around here, but we take a look back further forward, and it's another mover who you might be used to. This is Jason Lowe, who just last lap, set the fastest lap of the race thus far. 36.87, substantially faster than we qualified and faster than anybody was able to do there. You see 242 miles an hour. Our software calculating that these drivers are doing in this draft. What does it look like from on board? Well, here it is. Jason Lowe. Let's just listen and ride along as the 3-time champ takes us around Daytona International Speedway. And there you could see Jason Lowe's mirrors starting to get filled with that red, black, and white car of Will Stearns, who's making a run. There you can see West down below running on the apron, and he did come in and pit. So West has received service and perhaps up to speed. We see that Fahim Rahman is actually in the pits. He has not been able to turn a lap, so unfortunately just not getting into the car and getting underway here. But the race continues at the front, and these drivers just positioning themselves for where they want to be at various points of the race. So definitely, as always, we appreciate our friend Dan Ench, who's in the field and series regular. As you see, Graham Bunyan making his move around David Strid his teammate. And so these two playing a little bit of games here to try to manage the rest of the field and see who can save the most fuel. And that was what I was just about to allude to. If I can ever find proper information. There we go. 18 laps in clean air. And of course, we have not had a yellow flag, so we're about halfway, a little over halfway to that mark for when we're going to be seeing green flag pit stops between these drivers. So 18 laps in clean air possibly can stretch as far as 23. Now, it being 76 laps, if it went green all the way, stretching the fuel doesn't really help you. But if there's a caution in there or two, you might find yourself on the winning side of this race if you have the right fuel strategy. And this being such a big track, if you get caught a lap down, it is virtually impossible to be able to get that lap back without the help of something like a Lucky Dog award. So there you can see battling for 10th place. It's Rick Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik, on the outside of Dan Ench. And Ench, undoubtedly, as he is known as one of the fuel-saving masters. Of course, he did provide us also that fuel-saving and fuel information. We appreciate that out of the ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports machine there, the Dallara IR-18 IndyCar for Dan Ench. We appreciate his info, always out there practicing and working with the rest of the group. Manuel Gomez Esteban checking in with us over in Discord, letting us know he wasn't able to make the race today, unfortunately. You see, actually, Mauro Ramirez, well, Dan Ench actually climbing forward a little bit there as we were looking at other things. And so Ench in 9th, up a spot, and Kelbaugh up 2 spots back there in 11th, separating Inigo Mardones. And it's getting 3 wide back here for a second. There's Will Stearns in the middle of that. So Stearns in the middle. And that's always one of those calls on the radio that you don't want to hear. You're in the middle, 3 wide. But, you know, these Indy cars a little bit more ability to drive and squeeze into tight spaces than those big NASCARs are. So you've got a little bit more flexibility, but not too much, as they only really, you know, these cars are very trimmed out, and they're only given just enough downforce to be able to make this work out here on the track. So if you catch dirty air the wrong way, it could definitely send you around in a circle or put you up in the wall. You really got to watch out for that. Will Stearns and Dan Ench racing side by side for 6th place here. Trading positions back and forth on lap 15. We're flying around Daytona International Speedway. So great to have you with us here at VirtualRacing.Network as we're seeing some good passing as Dan Ench now climbing up through the field, up into 5th place. Add yet another IndyCar to that, to those war markings on the nose on that, on the front of that machine. And now he heads around the outside of Howard Livingston. Has Dan Ench decided to crank up the fuel map and go get some glory laps? It's possible. Here he comes around the outside of everybody. Will he take David Strid? He does through the tri-oval. Ench now looking like he's got some speed to be able to work this draft and perhaps make something happen out of today's race. Ench climbing up in that top 5 in the championship into 4th spot. So reinvigorated Dan Ench is, and he hasn't gotten that victory that he's wanted this season. Today could possibly be it. He's definitely wanted to get that ALZ machine, that Alzheimer's Association machine, up there onto the podium this season, but a win would be the sweetest thing possible, and certainly all those points that go along with it. GC Ench battling Livingston, his regular nemesis here in the league. I say that just because these two have raced together for so long, and they often are racing in virtually the same spot on the track. So they would have been battling and battling and battling over all of these races. And of course, you can see them all right here on VirtualRacing.Network going all the way back to the end of Season 10. Feel free to pop some popcorn and grab your favorite beverage and kick back and just, hey, you want to binge watch the U.S. IndyCar League for 3 seasons straight. That sounds like a good time to me. And it's been quite an evolution as we've watched here on VirtualRacing.Network as we watched Jason Lowe take the Season 10 championship. And after 3 championships in a row, we kind of wondered, hey, who's going to have something to challenge this guy? I think we all knew, though, that if Graham Bunyan showed up for every race and put his head down, that he could indeed be that driver to take it to Jason Lowe. And in fact, he did from that moment onwards, executing race after race with brilliant strategy and control, just as he's doing here at the lead of this race, making no mistakes thus far, coming up on 20 laps through this one. And it's been pretty much Bunyan and Strid with, over the last 3 seasons. And here Bunyan having to peel off and come into the pits. So just 1 lap of fuel savings. And we can also see another driver. We have Robert Mason into the pits here. There you can see the green and yellow machine of Mason, new driver to the league, so pitting on the same strategy. Also, we have Dave in the cave, Dave Worrell, out there back in action today, the number 25 car coming into the pits. And of course, as you see them overlap on pit road, it doesn't matter. You can overlap. Now we have, let's go back over to David Strid, who's just made his pit stop. James Kennedy as well. And I think Worrell a little slow on that pit stop, but coming back out onto track now. So we'll get the track map up there so you can tell where your favorite driver is. You just check out their initials on the right side of the screen and you can tell. But hey, there's a new leader. It's Howard Livingston for the carecamps.org. And following around behind, that's newcomer Robert Mason there in front and trying to hold everybody off who has not pitted yet. So there is a battle happening just outside your front porch there. Be very, very aware, Robert, for sure. And Robert going to be on new tires, and I guess these drivers trying to save a little bit more fuel. So we're now 22 laps into this, and we can just continue to see. Here comes Livingston, very late pit entry, almost loses it, and Ench slides by. That will be crucial here. And we'll see what happens to these two as they get in and then leave. But fortunately, both cars able to keep their speed and not spin it out. And so more than likely, they'll be able to catch each other as they leave the pits, assuming there was no penalties on entry. So it doesn't look like anybody having to hold. And so Livingston and Ench will pit out together. It looks like maybe Livingston, I'm just going to guess that maybe Livingston short-filled there as we see Stearns and Mardones coming in. And the reason is because Livingston got out ahead and we saw that he came in behind. So once again, just to recap, we are now 24 laps into this one. Inigo Mardones also stopping here on pit road. That gives over the lead to Dominic Hart, who's now racing with Jason Lowe. And I think Lowe senses an opportunity to get a quick bonus point. So he's going to try to take he's going to try to lead into the pits. So chopping across the nose of Hart and straight lining into the pits. Very, very quick entry for Hart and Mauro Ramirez, who's just behind. There you see the drivers into the pits. You can watch their pit stop times across the bottom of the screen as well. See how long each driver spends in the box. So crucial to getting that information. And the first one out, Jason Lowe, with just 8.3 seconds in the box. And he loses it. Jason, no, was that Dominic Hart? Mauro Ramirez, excuse me. We're going to try to get a camera on that, but it keeps changing position so many times. Indeed. We just heard someone spinning out. We couldn't quite get the camera there in time, but it could have been Dominic Hart that had slipped back, because he has slipped back on your screen. We do not have any notes, so that person spun and then kept it going. But we'll go back to the lead now, as it's David Strid who's resumed the lead. That's where he was at the start. Now you can see Mike West back also into the pits as well to take service. So Strid, Bunyan, and James Kennedy is your top three at the moment, and they are doing everything they can to break away from Jason Lowe. Lowe 1.6 seconds back from the leader David Strid, just 1.2 seconds back. And that is the gap right there. That's how far he is back. Now he can definitely draft right up to these leaders, and you can see the time just evaporating now. If you look on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see in the timing pylon there, that gap closing very rapidly, and we are under caution for Mike West, who has had a moment, and we'll get a replay of this as the pace car phases right through him. Mike West gets it righted and sends it back out there, but unfortunately not before bringing out that yellow flag. And now Mike had just come out. He was just coming out of the pits, and it looks like he just loses it. Just goes to drop the hammer, and the thing goes right around. Let's see if we can jump on board the roll bar, see if we can figure this one out. Just a small amount of left lock, and you know, it might be one of those situations where still had the weight jacker perhaps at a position that you didn't want to have it at, etc. So everybody had made their pit stop, and that's very fortunate, because nobody is going to get effectively trapped a lap down, and we won't really have too much change in terms of the pit stop strategy. And so that is going to give us a chance here to do our favorite thing, which is, well, as you can imagine, to help to pay the bills here. Very expensive to do these broadcasts here on VirtualRacing.Network. And so that's why we're so pleased to be able to bring you this information about, it's not just this toolbox. You see, you have to look closely right there on the right-hand side. Well, see, now all of these wrenches and things hanging up on these red and black and blue strips. What is that? Well, all of these spatulas and knives are on the side of this refrigerator. Are they using glue? Have they epoxy? Have they welded them in place? No, they have not. They're completely removable, leaves no mess. How is it done? Is it magic? Well, sort of. It's magnetic. And that starts with M as well. And if you're keeping track, there's too many details. It's very simple, though. You just take a little silicone ring that you get from StickQuik.com. Yes, there's 6 of them in a package. When you go to StickQuik.com, you can buy them. They come in all different colors. And you take these rings, you put them around anything that you want to stick. That's right. You have a vape in your car that you want to keep handy. You have writing instruments. You have cooking utensils. Let your mind run wild. And it keeps everything close by and handy if you need it. Keeps everything in the right place. It's the perfect device to be able to get your entire life completely reorganized, as we focus in here on the StickQuik car and Mr. StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh, out there on the track. Yes, in fact, these devices come 6 to a pack, as I mentioned. You can get them in any color. And the real secret behind this is that the bands themselves are magnetic. They're highly durable, etc. And that means you can stick it to anything that's metal. But even further than that, you get these little sticky pads, and that means you clean the surface, stick the pad on, and now you can stick anything to virtually anything. And that is super cool in my book. So I've got my set. They're in green because that's, I'm green field, and I race with the green color. Perhaps I should change that, go with something else like orange, but you could do that like in a heartbeat. So if you wanted a red set tomorrow, you just go on StickQuik.com, you get your red 6-pack, it's sent in the mail to you, and how great is that? StickQuik, US-based company, supporting the US IndyCar League and bringing all of these great broadcasts to you. All you got to do is go to StickQuik.com and get yours today, or maybe pick up 5 or 10. I mean, I'm not trying to get carried away with it. This is one of those things you could give as a gift, and everybody would love it if they don't already have one. Spread the news, spread StickQuik, and spread the fun. It's 2022, guys. You need to get your StickQuik, and, okay. So that paid the bills, and we get back to action here very shortly. Hey, who is that in the lead? Is that Dan Ench? Why, it is. It's Dan Ench leading Richard Kelbaugh and Mauro Ramirez as the lights are off on the pace car. We're going to be going green this time by our very first caution. So this field slowly starting to form up here around turn 4. And we'll head towards the tri-oval. And Dan Ench will be leading us back to the green flag. This is not how many of these drivers thought it would shake out, but Ench, Kelbaugh, Ramirez deciding not to pit on this time, and that has given them the chance to lead this race. Here comes Kelbaugh by on the high side. Mr. StickQuik wants a piece of that bonus point action, and he's going to try to take it from Dan Ench. Kelbaugh on the outside, and StickQuik to the lead. The green and black and white card there that you see at the center of your screen, the StickQuik.com Dallara IR-18 for Richard Kelbaugh, now in the lead. And he'll undoubtedly get a chance to stick to that track for a few laps, as these other drivers are probably going to want to save fuel. Now looking a little bit further back, it's Mauro Ramirez. All these drivers up so many positions because they chose not to pit. But Mauro Ramirez seeing on the outside, that's Dave Worrell, who has pitted. He pitted not long ago. In fact, he's one of the recent drivers to pit in the field. Worrell with those fresh tires coming forward in a hurry. Dave in the cave on the march forward. He's got the black and green machine of Kelbaugh in front. Now's the time for that right foot to stay planted and try and figure out a way to get by and get yourself one of those bonus points up there at the front. So these drivers now over 240 miles per hour in the draft. And as you saw Mike West making a mistake earlier, there is absolutely no room for mistakes. It will cost you dearly. So as these drivers continue here on lap 33, inching our way towards halfway at the famed Daytona International Speedway. Once again, so great to have you with us here, watching live on VirtualRacing.Network's YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that big red subscribe button and you'll get notified of all of the future races, especially if you tick that little bell to the right that says notify. You get it all right here on VirtualRacing.Network. And of course, as we mentioned, you can go back and watch all of our archive of the US IndyCar League and some great races at that. But hey, Richard Kelbaugh escaping off the front, and perhaps as we see a little bit further back, it's 3 wide. Now 2 wide as Dan Ench now trying to close up and take 3rd spot as he does from Mauro Ramirez and Inigo Mardones. So Mardones now coming up in the field. Now up into 5th, gained 11 spots thus far, and we've got more cars coming forward. It's Robert Mason who wants a little bit of the fun. There he is in the green and the yellow car. He's been a little quiet, but been marching up towards the front. Now we take a look at the front. Here comes Dave Worrell around the outside of Richard Kelbaugh, and he says, Mr. StickQuik, I want a bonus point. And he puts Kelbaugh into his mirror. So Kelbaugh now going to be having to deal with that dirty air through the corners, manage the weight jacker, manage tires and traffic a little bit. And Worrell going to get that clean view off the front, clean air. So easy to manage the tires, to keep that right foot planted and make everyone come to you. And speaking of coming to him, hey, who is that guy right there coming up on the outside? Why, that's Graham Bunyan. Yes, indeed. No, he hasn't forgotten how to use the draft. He's right up there in the lead. Graham Bunyan back to the lead here at Daytona. So we are exactly halfway done with this one. Well, coming up on halfway done. Half a lap too short. There we go. Now we're in the books. David Worrell in second. Richard Kelbaugh up 10 spots, hanging out in 3rd spot. Will he be able to hold on with those used tires after not pitting? It's only a few laps difference, so it shouldn't make that big of a difference. But here's another driver who's in the field and making a big splash. It's Will Stearns in 4th spot. He's gained 8 spots today, and he's done it through some passing. Really looked solid here today. Just holding position. A lot of these drivers is trying to make it through the next 20 to 25 laps to be able to set up for the end of this one. Just want to not get caught in any sort of a accident out there on the track, do damage to the car, and not be able to take a chance on getting that podium position or the race win. You see these beautiful shots provided to us from the StickQuik drone team. StickQuik really sparing no expenses, and we appreciate that here, as well as the other funders who have stepped forward here in the U.S. IndyCar League to help to sponsor and support individual races, and of course the league here. Multiple contributors to that. Of course, the league itself and series admin Jason Lowe contributing heavily, and StickQuik a big part of that, as well as Howard Livingston there, the Coconut Castaways, and of course racing Jason Lowe racing for the Rescue Ranch, and Howard Livingston able to race for the Care Camps organization. And actually, we now have David Strid coming in for a pit stop. This is quite interesting to see Strid coming in right now. I think he's trying to cover perhaps the undercut strategy that is possible. But either way, choosing to come in here and make a pit stop, and we'll keep an eye on that and how it develops. In the meantime, we've got some racing for 3rd. It's StickQuik, Team StickQuik next to Will Stearns racing side by side here at Daytona. Just behind that, you see StickQuik now coming. You see StickQuik, Mr. StickQuik, and Graham Bunyan both coming in. Indeed, I'm going to say that this is, now we're under yellow. Yellow flag comes out, and we do not have a notification of what the cause of this is. You see Rick Lovison very slow on track. Not sure if, and we have a note that David Strid crashed. Is this possible? He had the same thing as his teammate. Indeed it is. This is Strid on your screen, not Dan Ensch. You saw it. It's the exact same thing. We're going to go back here to a live look here. Excuse me, back to the replay, but we're going to look from on board. I'm not sure when this begins exactly, so And there it is. So perhaps not resetting that weight jacker as I mentioned. Otherwise, I can say for certain, I don't know that I have had this happen to me on an oval, but I have had this happen. I was talking with Graham Bunyan about this a couple of weeks ago, and I've had this exact same thing happen to me at Laguna Seca in a open race, in a IndyCar open race, where you come out of the pits and you've exited the pits 100 times at that track, and you come out, and yes, you are on cold tires, but once again, you've come out hundreds of times on cold tires, and you go to basically turn off the speed limiter and plant your right foot, and the car just wants to come around on you. There's no grip. And this is, it's something I wish I could say more, that I knew more about, but I want to say it's a bug, but I'm not really sure. It's just one of those things that you really have to watch out when you're leaving the pits. It feels like it's a bug, similar to how there apparently is still a bug when you pit and don't tow back to your pit stall if you have damage. Sometimes it does not fix the steering damage, but these drivers having to deal with little bugs perhaps, and having to deal with well, you just got to outsmart the sim if it's going to make that mistake. Either way, bringing out the caution here on lap 44 we are, and Jason Lowe choosing not to pit this time, as he last stopped on lap 29 and taking over the lead. Graham Bunyan, your second place on the track. He did stop. Richard Kelbaugh did stop also with Graham Bunyan. You saw it, and now he takes third spot over Will Stearns in fourth, and Rick Lovison kind of trading spots there with James Kennedy. I believe Rick is dropping to the inside of the track and letting drivers go by. So it is possible he has an end-of-line penalty. He would have gotten that penalty for entering the closed pit. So it's possible, if we go back and take a look at, if we can find when he entered the pits, we might be able to tell, although we don't get to see necessarily on screen. Actually find where he entered the pits. It's always easier said than done, as Jason Lowe does in fact take advantage of this caution and come into the pits for fuel. And we also have Dominic Hart coming in as well. Apologize for the delay there, just trying to look for this note where Rick Lovison came into the pits and literally cannot find it. So I guess we're just going to have to leave that one where it's at. But indeed, Lovison now Hart dropping back all the way back to 19th spot, has not lost this. I'm sorry, back to 13th spot. Looking at the wrong digit there. And so that will actually drop Lowe as well down to 12th. They have not lost any laps. The first car that's a lap down is going to be Mike West, who, of course, has suffered some definite battles, some definite scars to that machine today, unfortunately for Mike West. But Graham Bunyan is forming up here at the front of the field to take us back under green here. Going to be starting lap 46 of 76. So the countdown begins. Just 30 to go here in Daytona for round number 8. It's the Daytona 190 presented by StickQuik, and you're watching live here on VirtualRacing.Network. Graham Bunyan leads, but just behind, it's already side by side for second as Richard Kelbaugh and Will Stearns are fighting it out. And just behind that, Dave Worrell in the blue and white car left with nowhere to go, trying to go around the slightly darker metallic blue and white car of James Kennedy. These cars battling it out for position while Graham Bunyan escapes off the front a little bit. But exciting stuff here as we try to see who wants to take over that second place and follow around behind Graham Bunyan. Dave Worrell now on the outside. You can see him there. The light blue and white car trying to fight and get that spot. He's currently shown in third. But they keep battling back and forth. Too close to call. Worrell now inching forward into that second spot around the outside. And now he's going to try to take his car to the front. Can Worrell manage to get around Bunyan, or will he even try? We do have a note that Fahim Rahman did make it out of the pits, and now unfortunately he's had to go back into the pits, perhaps damage to the car. So Worrell choosing to ride around behind, and just behind him, it's craziness. There's Will Stearns, who just came up through the middle. They were 3 wide for a moment. Stearns hanging tight in third spot, and there comes the chrome machine of Jason Lowe. You knew it was just a matter of time before Lowe would start inching forward. I'll tell you another driver that we kind of miss that we don't have this week. That's David Zaleski, another driver who knows how to work that draft. Showed it very much so just a couple of weeks ago, but in the meantime, we've got a blanket can cover the top 15 cars right now. There you go. Worrell in second, Stearns in third, Lowe on the outside in fourth, and James Kennedy on the inside in fifth. So Lowe now looking to take third spot from Will Stearns. Well, there you go. Some of the sounds of these Dallara IR-18 IndyCars here at Daytona International Speedway. 243 miles per hour. Our software registering that time. Graham Bunyan. And that is some seriously fast racing. Again, quite a blur, no time to really do anything as we see Jason Lowe. I mean, there's really no time to react to anything. If something goes wrong right in front of you, there's nowhere to go. So you got to be careful, and that's what these drivers are doing. It looks like rush hour traffic in Los Angeles on the 405, but it isn't. We're in Florida. This is Daytona International Speedway, and these racers are out there battling it out. We've got Stearns on the inside of Lowe there for third spot. And as much fun as it is to watch this, you know, you talk to the real-life racers, and as we watch this battling here for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th position, talk to real life racers and you ask them, do they have fun doing this? And they say, heck no, this is this is nail biting. Every lap it's white knuckles. For some drivers, I mean, you're so used to in sim racing, you're so used to doing these drafting races that honestly it's a little repetitive, if I'm not lying. But it's repetitive from the standpoint of it's controllable until it gets out of control. And that's what all these drivers have to be aware of, is a driver coming up in your mirrors could make a pass on you in an instant, take away that air in the front of your car. What are you going to do then? You got a car on your outside, you can't take your natural line through the corner. What are you going to do then? So you've got to be on your toes and on these cockpit controls, ready to make adjustments at a second's notice, split seconds notice, and able to avoid incidents. And that's been one of the keys for drivers like Graham Bunyan in this field, getting wins and consistent finishes, is just trying to find ways to stay out of incidents. Obviously, one of the best, easiest ways to do that is just lead the races. Just be out there in front. You control it. You decide how hard you want to push the car into the corner. And until you start lapping other cars, there's no dirty air to have to worry about. So you can work your tires how you want. So here we go, coming up on just 20 to go. We are flying by. There's been just 2 cautions. And it's really allowed this field to come back together here. Let's go ahead and take a look now, and we can see what everyone's fuel strategy is. You see most of the drivers coming in really similarly on that same lap, 41 to 43, 44 there. The latest was for Jason Lowe. So we'll see whether any of these drivers can, there's no way they can make it to the end without more caution flags. But if we had another 1 or 2 caution flags, there is a chance that Jason Lowe could be in the right place on that fuel strategy. So we're kind of waiting for the end of this one and see if there will be another caution. That will determine exactly who's in the right strategy. But at the moment, it's Graham Bunyan who leads, David Worrell, and now Jason Lowe up into that 3rd spot, trying to fight hard on the outside of Will Stearns. Jason Lowe, so much real-life racing experience, out there doing battle with the rest of these drivers. And actually, we've got our first taker on pit road. There's David Stritt in again, coming in with exactly 18 to go, which tells you he is definitely on that undercut strategy, trying to take advantage of a green flag stop to get that final stop done, and he'll be in the right place if a caution does come out. In the meantime, Graham Bunyan continuing here in first place. And the top 4 have not changed, except for now we do have Bunyan in, Kennedy in, and Jason Lowe in, and Lowe doesn't cause a problem. Kennedy causes a problem by going off track, and he overshoots the entry. That is going to cost him dramatically. He elects to not take the pit stop, and he will go right through the pits and come back around. In the meantime, here is Bunyan and Lowe on pit road, and Lowe gets out at the same time as Bunyan. They had to watch themselves coming back out onto the track. Here's Bunyan on board. And they have to be very careful exiting on this apron as well, that you don't try to go too fast and accidentally put it up onto the track. That'll spin you out. Well, if Bunyan thought he was going to break away on this round of pit stops, he did not do it. And so we're going to turn the track map back on so you can see where everyone is. Inigo Mardones into the pits for the final time, and Kennedy now returns back to pit road. Unfortunate. He's going to have to work something out to get that time back. Here's Worrell into the pits, followed by Robert Mason. Looks like they got stopped just fine, and that will turn over the lead to Will Stearns. I don't think we have seen a lap led yet this season by Will Stearns. He had to take a couple of weeks off this season. 1 week, he was recovering a little bit of health issues and got some friends together and were able to watch and enjoy one of the races from the sidelines, but he had to get back in there. And unfortunately, he won't get this lap led either. He's going to make his pit stop, and that's going to turn it over to Dan Ench. But also Stearns' dog having puppies. And so that, that's a full-time job when the puppies have just arrived on the scene. So he had to take a week off for that. So a couple of these drivers not able to get in every lap that they would like to get in, but nevertheless returning back out here with a vengeance and trying to get some of those lost laps back. So we see now Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik, into the pits, and Dan Ench gets it wrong entering the pits, almost loses it as he touches the grass, spins it just a kind of quarter spin to the left, and then gets it back on track. I have no idea whether that will cause an unsafe pit entry or another penalty, but unfortunately, Ench having a pretty perfect race until that moment, and he is going to sit there on pit road. And is he taking... Indeed, he falls further and further down the list, and that can only mean one thing: unsafe pit entry and having to take or too fast and having to take a penalty. Here's Dominic Hart, number 76 here on pit lane. That is a beautiful red metallic paint job, and absolutely stunning. And he's into the pits for the final time. That leaves Mauro Ramirez of Black Tiger Racing, good friend to VirtualRacing.Network, always chatting us up and letting us know how he's doing, what's going on. Mauro getting out to real life IndyCar race with Joe Brickey a couple of weeks ago in Texas, and getting the lead here, getting a bonus point. You see the fourth car in line there is actually the second place on the track. So these other two cars have made their pit stops. So that's Howard Livingston in the fourth car in line there that is in second place. So we see now Worrell and West coming back into the pits. So we should see Mauro Ramirez into the pits. He's going to try to pit this time. And is he going to be able to get it down? And it looks like he does. Wow, that is so slow to get that car woed up there. And unfortunately, indeed, we do have another yellow flag, and I'm afraid of what I'm about to see, because I think it's going to end up being the same. Well, that's even worse than before, unfortunately, because he hadn't even left the pits yet. Well, let's go back and see if we can truly understand how this one went. Now, watch the revs on the steering wheel there. You'll see as he starts to leave the pits, you can see the car start to gas it, and there the revs started to build, and it was just apparently too much for those Firestone Firehawks to light off out of the pits. And unfortunately, that took him sailing across the track, blocking the track, and as a result, right in front of those leaders. So let's say that you were Will Stearns. How did that look to you? Well, let's jump on board and find out. So you're racing for third spot here. You're Will Stearns. You're thinking, how many is set up for the end of the... What is that on the right? Oh, okay. Brown moment there. Definitely not what these drivers wanted to see. And certainly, in case you thought this was planned or something like that. Of course, Mike West, unofficial teammate to Strid and Bunyan, and laying athwartships across the track. Definitely is dangerous for everybody out there, but definitely not what they would have wanted to see, as Strid and Bunyan were already on their final pit stop strategy. So this will not really affect our overall pit stop strategy here, as Lowe had already pitted on lap 59, and in fact I think everyone had already pitted. So if a single driver had been able to hold out and not pit, it possibly would have put them right up here into the lead. But unfortunately, nobody able to hold out quite that long. And so everybody going to be basically on the same strategy. Everybody stopping within about 3 or 4 laps of each other. Now, there is one thing to talk about, and that would be that Howard Livingston did come in here during this pit stop cycle, or during this caution cycle, and he took tires. So he is the latest stop. Now, he doesn't have super fresh tires, but I mean, he doesn't have that much fresher of tires than everyone else. But if you, say, wanted fresh tires for the end of the race to, you know, be able to make a bunch of moves, as we see a number of drivers getting to get their laps back here. One of those being Rick Lovison, who makes his way around, and Richard Kelbaugh able to get that lap back. And so we'll see these drivers able to fight it out for potential first place on the track. Mauro Ramirez exiting the pits. He's just taken tires as well, so he'll have fresh tires. And that, as I said, you know, it just depends. This track is not really hard on tires. But if having fresh tires gets you into a spot that would be too dangerous for worn tires, or if it somehow allows you to hold tighter on the bottom line and or better on the top line, or whatever the case is, just a little bit more rubber to stick to the track, well, you'll take 0.01% advantage over the rest of the field. If that's all you got, that's what you'll take. I think I got a chance. I'm starting. If you're Howard Livingston, you're like, I'm in 7th, but I got fresh tires. I can do this. It's been a while since we've seen the number 13 into victory lane. Will we see it today? Who will it be? We're going to find out here in just about 7 more laps. It's David Strid at the moment who's going to lead us back to green flag. The green is out and we're underway. 7 laps remain. Get ready for some drafting fun as Graham Bunyan inches up on the back of his teammate. Will Stearns and Jason Lowe side by side for second. These cars head around here, start building speed, and then all chaos will begin as these drivers trying to come forward. Who's that in the red metallic car coming forward? 2 wide for the lead. Now 3 wide for the lead. It's hard on the outside. Bunyan in the middle and Strid on the inside. Will they touch? They do touch, and all 3 of the leaders take each other out. A big wreck. Multiple cars involved. Half of the field involved in this one, and we've had the big one here. We saw it from up above. Most of the field wrecked, and this is definitely going to change everything, as your leader is now Will Stearns, somehow showing that Rick Lovison has recovered. We're going to have to wait for this to recover here. No, Will Stearns still shown as the leader. Timing and scoring software just catching up here. We're going to have to back this one up. And we're just going to take a look here at what happened. Indeed, it was, as we can see on the outside, you know, Strid starting to back up and Will Stearns kind of backs up a little bit as well. There you can see on the, it looks like Bunyan and Strid make contact first, but we're going to try to back it up and check just one more time before we get to the middle of that. My goodness. So the best place for this is not the gearbox. It's actually the chopper view. If we can ever find that in our list of cameras. There we go. So we get in nice and tight here in just a second. So you can see Bunyan there in the middle and Strid. Bunyan goes a little bit high, then comes back down. He's pretty much holding the line, but I think he and Strid make netcode contact, and that brings Strid across the nose of Bunyan and into the path of Hart, who then also collects a number of other drivers, including Robert Mason there. Let's see what it looked like from Hart's point of view. We do have a warning, though, that this may be quite upsetting for some viewers. My goodness, what a violent crash. So unfortunate to be taken out fighting for the lead, and I don't think Dominic did anything wrong. He did push it a little bit, but not too much, and well, let's see what it looked like from Robert Mason's point of view. He was not very far back there, and he unfortunately inherited quite a bit of damage here as well. Oh, right into those cars. Fortunate that these cars now have this aero screen protecting Robert from any sort of damage in the cockpit there. We hope that he was able to remove his hands from the wheel. As you know, some of these direct drive wheels, seriously, if the if the contact is not mitigated, you could really hurt yourself. Unfortunately, we do see the broken car there of Howard Livingston having to make a pit stop. Now, Livingston did not lose a lap. He won't lose a lap. He'll get that damage repaired, and they'll get back out there because it is so far around. So let's go ahead and recap where we're at after that enormous crash that took out the top three. We currently have Will Stearns in the lead, Jason Lowe in second, Richard Kelbaugh in third. And now Mauro Ramirez in fourth. Rick Levison has moved 9 positions up, is now shown in 5th spot. Howard Livingston coming out in 6th place. Dan Ench now shown in 7th. These drivers, Ench shown a lap down now. So Ench, the first car, a lap down. Unfortunately, he will not get a chance to get that back. And so Bunyan also now a lap down. All of these cars in to take service. Strid as well. Unfortunate for these front runners who had it made at the front of this field and were controlling the front. Looked like a little bit of net code, and 3 Wide Racing just caught out these drivers a little bit. We'll look to see if we can get some comments after the race and find out a little bit more about what these drivers had to say. Once again, so great to have you with us if you're watching. And Rahman reporting in over in YouTube saying, just had a bad day today, was not his day, and iRacing error didn't let him start the race somehow. But in the meantime, Mardona's shown having a crash as well, but this is where the race is at the front. It's Stearns in front of Lowe, Kelbaugh, Ramirez, and Rick Levison. Names you wouldn't expect to see at the front with 3 to go, but here it is. Stearns going to try to escape off the front. I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it off. No one else has been able to. There's Lowe in second. I'd say if you were a betting man, you'd have to put a lot of money on that Chrome machine. He's got so much experience. He's a 3-time consecutive champ, and now he puts it into practice. Here comes Jason Lowe around the outside and into the lead. Now, do you want to be in front? Do you want to be in back? They'll have to make that decision as we come up to 2 to go at the line. this time by. It's 2 laps remaining here in Daytona for the Daytona 190 presented by StickQuik. And it's Lowe back in front with Stearns in second and Kelbaugh in third. Kelbaugh inching closer. There's Mauro Ramirez for Black Tiger Racing. The lap car of Dan Ench now in that mix as well as we look at these cars 3 wide once again on the track. Mauro Ramirez in the middle. It's Graham Bunyan around the outside. He's lost all F's to give. Bunyan now a lap down, getting that lap back. And he's going to try to hang on. We're now white flag. It's hard to tell who's in the lead, but it's Jason Lowe taking that white flag, and on the inside of now the lap car of Graham Bunyan, who's trying to get that lap back. Will Stearns trying to fight for this win. He's held in check by Graham Bunyan on the outside, and there's contact. It was Mauro Ramirez into Dan Ench. Mauro Ramirez now dropping back. Ench falling off. No yellow flags thus yet. It's Lowe in front of Stearns. Bunyan on the outside. Will it be Lowe or Stearns or Kelbaugh? They're coming to the line. Who's it going to be? And it's Lowe by just a nose over Stearns. And Kelbaugh with third. Mr. StickQuik taking the final podium position here in Daytona. Lowe with the win and Stearns with second. What a fantastic race for these drivers. One heck of an absolute fantastic finish here for these drivers, and my goodness me, didn't see this one coming. Certainly Jason Lowe, I'm sure, didn't. He fought, and he's been fighting week in and week out to try to get that win again and get back up there into victory circle. We'll look forward to talking to him in just a moment, and a couple of our other drivers in our Discord chat room. So hang on for just a minute, folks, as we wait for these drivers to come in, and we'll take a look at the final running order and catch our breath after a fantastic race here in Daytona. Once again, we said it would happen, but the chaos did ensue. So as Jason Lowe attempts to burn down those Firestone Firehawks, we'll get that final running order up there on the screen. There it is, your final results. Jason Lowe taking the win for Rescue Ranch. So great that we'll get a chance to talk about Rescue Ranch, and we'll get a chance to talk to Jason Lowe here in just a minute. Will Stearns taking second out there on the track. You saw how close he was to a victory here in the league. Be fun to get a chance to chat with him hopefully today. And also Mr. StickQuik Team StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh taking third. Mauro Ramirez, a hard-fought fourth. He came back, I believe, from a lap down. Had an incident. Unfortunately, he made contact with Dan Ench, whose day went from looking very good and being in fourth place to not as good, having to settle for 10th place back there. You could see the rest of the running order here on your screen. And so we get set for interviews here. You can see it was an unfortunate day for a few different drivers. Mike West bringing out a couple of cautions, exiting the pits, and of course David Stritt and Graham Bunyan really suffering, as well as Dominic Hart. They were all racing 1, 2, 3 for that first place, and unfortunately going to have to settle there for much less. So we'll get a chance to talk to our third place finisher here. Hey, Richard Kelbaugh. It's Mr. StickQuik joining us here, and we still see your car out there on the track. Rick, awesome job today. You look so racy, and it looked like you might even take the win at one point. Tell us how your day went, and congratulations on third place.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
I got you, bud.
Okay, great. Yeah, this is terrific for me. This is a first-time podium in a long, long time. And I really appreciate the guys that I race with. They're a great bunch of guys, good racing. They try to be clean as much as they can. This is a tough track, though. At these speeds, at 240, 245 miles an hour, it's difficult. And then you take that into consideration with the stops that you got to make for fuel and so forth. It's a hell of a track to run.
Indeed. And as we were talking about during the race, it's so much that, you could run nose to tail with somebody and be saving fuel and everything seems normal. And then because of the speeds, just anything happens in front of you and there's just no time to really react. And we saw that here, a couple of incidents that were brought out. But then there at the very end, with that incident that took out 3 of the leaders, you managed to avoid that. And tell us how you did manage to avoid that and what that meant for you there at the end.
Geez, I don't know. At one point, there was one crash that I went through the grass, and all I was trying to do was keep the car straight so I could collect it and get back onto the pavement. The last run for the finish line was really intense. We had some lap cars up there that were jockeying for their particular place. And it got really tight. And I felt I was in a fairly good position, though. I wanted to be behind Will or Jason there. I didn't want to be out front. Hopefully I can make a move at the end. But there was nowhere to go on the outside, so I just had to kind of maneuver. When cars started collecting themselves, I just looked for clean air and win.
Well, and then we also saw there just on screen a moment ago on the backstretch, Mauro Ramirez getting into, I believe it was Mauro who got, or perhaps it was Hart, who touched Dan Ench, and Ench came right across your nose. That must have been quite scary brown seat moment there, but nevertheless, you held on. And we're closing right up on the leaders. And once again, Rick, you managed to show your competitiveness and perhaps that team's stick-quick advantage, sticking to the track and able to stick to your guns, able to get 3rd place here in the series. So great news for you. Congratulations on a podium. And of course, everything that you do each and every week to help support the league here with StickQuik. Thank you so much, Rick.
Thanks, Trevor. You're a great announcer. You do a terrific job every week, and I know how much time you've spent on it, and I just really want to thank you a lot for what you do, and I want to thank all the guys that turned out today. It was a great race, and there was some things that I'm going to have to look at as the road steward, and we'll go from there, but thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. That was Richard Kelbaugh joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network, coming in 3rd here at the Daytona 190 presented by StickQuik. So it's been a long time coming, getting a chance to talk to Rick here in the post-race chat and be able to have him up here on the podium. And in the meantime, we're going to see if, I don't think we're going to get a chance to talk to Will Stearns, who took 2nd here today. What a fabulous result. Of course, Will also very busy, much like these other drivers. Graham Bunyan, of course, very busy down in Australia, part of the healthcare industry, so I don't think we're going to get a chance to talk with him. However, we will get a chance to talk with your winner and series admin, Jason Lowe, who managed to take the victory here. And Jason, when we first started covering the league, you were up there winning races and just, frequently up there in the top positions. It's been a long road to get back to victory lane here, but talk us through your day. You were challenging up at the front early. You had some good strategy going, but it kind of broke open for you with that last caution.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm super thrilled to share the podium with Will and with Rick. Great run for both of them. I don't know, I'm actually a little emotional right now. It's been a while since I've been in victory lane and feels really good. I had a good fuel strategy going. Graham and I stopped together. What was our last planned stop? And I think we would have had a 3 or 4 car breakaway had the last caution not come out. That was how I was seeing it shape up. It was going to be Graham, David Strid, myself, and maybe one more car. I'm not sure who the fourth was, but that's just how anyway, with caution comes out, and that took fuel strategy out of the picture. And I knew just from running during the day that the car out front could hold the bottom, and unless the guy in second or third could drop back and get a run, I tried to go around the outside several times, and I in fuel map 1, I couldn't pass guys in fuel map 5 on the outside, so I knew it was going to be a problem. So just to be quite frank, I let Will gap me just a hair on the start. I intentionally held back, let him go, and got a run. I knew if I could clear him off at 2 and get to the bottom, I knew that was the strategy, as long as we didn't have any other incidents. I mean, those guys, we ran 3 wide quite a bit without incident. Sometimes there were incidents. Unfortunate that Graham and David and Dominic got caught out, I believe, when they're 3 wide at Daytona is tough. I ran a couple AI races this week here with the AI, and they were 3 wide like the entire race. It was really mentally tough, but I think it kind of helped me prepare. I don't know. Again, I'm thrilled to win. I'm equally thrilled that Will and Rick are on the podium with me, and just all around great day. I know the first part of the race was a little boring because we were all just training, riding around, seeing what we could do fuel-wise. But I think the last half of the race, it really came alive, and people got to see some good passing and some good strategy. So hope everyone enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And it is, well, that's just one of the things. There's so many laps to get in, and you're just trying to position yourself and stay alive for 90 to 95% of the race. Just stay out of incidents and still stay on the right side of whatever strategy it is that you want to call. But indeed, you did have a battle there with Will Stearns. You had to overtake him after that start. Were you fearing that possibly by taking the position a couple of laps early that Stearns might be able to get by you there on the last lap?
I felt good because there were other cars around him not allowing him to drop back and get a run. You had to drop back about 5 or 6 cars to get enough momentum to get around me, and the people around him weren't letting him do that. So once I cleared him and got to the bottom, I really felt good about it. It was just me telling myself, stay on the bottom. I'm a big believer that your brain doesn't not do things. You can't say, don't screw up, because all your brain hears is screw up, because you can't don't do something. So I'm just telling myself, be good, be good, be good. And it worked out.
Sometimes luck is what you need to be in the right place at the right time and just keep your right foot planted and hope that nobody can take you. But hey, Jason, you bring all of that real life racing experience to the table, and today you kept your head down and you look like the Jason Lowe of old. I've said it so many times here, but perhaps this is the start of a new chapter and a chance to be able to come forward and continue your assault here on the championship, and perhaps have something for Graham Bunyan and David Street at the end of this championship.
Well, I'd like to think that, but let's be also honest. This is not a driver's track. This is more of a chess track. You're playing chess. This isn't about talent, other than not wrecking out. It's not about talent. But so I'm still growing as a driver here on iRacing. I've still got to get faster against David and against Graham and against some of the other. There are some faster guys at some tracks. The last stretch here we've got going up, Richmond is going to be a question mark. I haven't done very well there in the fixed series when I've run there, but we have superior setups here thanks to David Strid, so that's not a problem. But Richmond will be the question mark. And then we've got some tracks I'm actually pretty good at. And, of course, we always end our season at Indy, and I love Indy. And I have won there in the past in the league and against this same crew. So this was definitely a confidence builder. Thanks to StickQuik for putting us on every week so we can do this. Thanks to all the guys who show up. And we'll see what happens. Like I say, I always do it race to race to race. And so on to the next race. And thank you for all you do for us, Trevor.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And That's the winner, Jason Lowe. He's also the series admin. So if you want to join the US IndyCar League this season or maybe next season, yeah, just head on down to that link in the description. You can click that and you'll be right over onto the iRacing page. If you race, if you've done any races in fixed or open or any leagues for Indy cars and you have some basic license restrictions met and iRating restrictions met, definitely go ahead and apply and you'll be part of a practice session and be able to possibly head out there and challenge these drivers. In the meantime, congratulations to winner Jason Lowe, who takes victory here and will continue to climb up in the championships. He looked so good today, and the league looked great with just a couple of cautions. So if you enjoyed this race, of course, make sure to subscribe here on VirtualRacing.Network. You will get notified of all of our future races. Make sure to tick that bell over on the right-hand side. In the meantime, it's been my pleasure. I'm Trevor Greenfield. You've been watching this race for the US IndyCar League. It's the Daytona 190, round number 8 of season number 14, presented by StickQuik. It's been a production of VirtualRacing.Network and the US IndyCar League 2022. On behalf of all the competitors, I'd like to wish you a wonderful rest of your weekend and a great start to your week. Until next week, same time, same channel. See everybody later. Bye-bye.